All right, guys, for round one, Siti Azia, hopefully I'm saying that right, she lives in rural Indonesia, and she described being recruited by men she believed to be prank TV producers who had her carry out a prank where she rubbed baby oil in strangers' faces. Haha, you guys know that old trick where you walk up to a stranger and you rub baby oil on their face?
Yeah, classic.
Yes, classic. In an interview on... However, this time the liquid was the nerve agent VX, which swiftly led to Kim's death and the arrest of both women. According to Siti, she had no idea the substance was a poison. She could have been killed as well, but for her decision to quickly wash the substance off her hands.
I can totally see somebody falling for this. Like,
you
have somebody like set up, because you have these type of YouTube videos all the time. I mean, my favorite one is the one where they do the shampoo on the guy's head over at the beach.
Yeah, yes.
And it's like this big muscle bound dude, and he can't stop like washing his hair. It keeps getting more frothy and frothy and frothy.
Ah! Woo! Woo! Ah! No! Oh, no.
You would see this, and the way that they set up the rest of the story, you're like, Jesus, this is brilliant. Tell us what's next, Kate.
Yeah, so, and these two women, thankfully, when she rubbed it on him and it killed, she quickly washed her hands. She moved on. She thought it was part of the prank, whatever. Well, she was later charged with Kim's murder, but the charges against them were abruptly dropped earlier this year before either of them gave evidence, and both women were allowed to return home. In her interview, Siti described two producers training her with the baby oil smearing prank, paying her as much as $120 per time, vastly more than she could earn in her regular job as a masseuse. So you're barely scraping by, you're barely making any money. These guys come to you and they're like, hilarious thing, $120 a time. You go smear it on, and they have her actually doing this to people with regular baby oil. So she really is.
Money and YouTube star to boot.
To Kim. They have her doing it to him.
Yeah.
Like the
Right.
actual one where he gets killed.
But they had her doing it before that to multiple other people with just non fucking poison. She said, I was nervous about doing the pranks at first in case someone reacted badly or hid out, but I was very happy to have the work. I question why anyone would want to watch this sort of thing, but they told me Japanese audiences love it.
Have you ever seen those Japanese game
setup.
shows?
Dude, it's the perfect setup.
It's the perfect, because those game shows, talk about going down a YouTube rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the viral one the other year where they had those, like, 48 stairs made of ice?
Yes.
And they just had, like, 20 people try and go up the ice stairs, and they all just got really hurt, and everybody was like, ah!
I tried out for one when I lived in Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out.
It was one of the ones where the ball bounces back and forth, and then you have to jump over the little thing. I tried out for it and didn't make it. Those things are fucking difficult, man.
Yes.
And that was before I was a fat piece of shit. Now I could definitely not do it. But then I was limber, used to do obstacle courses all the time. I was in good shape. Still couldn't do it.
But I can see this being unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would believe this. If somebody said this to me now, I would do it. Like, $120 a pop just for rubbing oil on somebody's face, that's good money if you can.
That is good money, but...
Now, after knowing this story,
I probably
wouldn't. Wait a minute.
But also, do you guys think this is actually funny? Like, not her killing the guy.
Part?
No, not the murder part. Not the murder part. The part where she was smearing it on other people as a prank. Do you think this as a prank is funny?
I think if it's a harmless prank, sometimes they're funny. But in this part of the world, you have to remember, in this part of the world too, there's like acid attacks that happen.
Right.
There's like in a terrorism type of global environment, I don't think these kind of pranks are good to pull on people. Normal pranks I'm fine with, but I could see if something got rubbed on your face, you could legitimately
I would
think,
panic.
What the fuck just happened?
I would probably
panic.
punch the person.
Yeah, I would lose I would be like, immediately I would try and wash it off probably. Also, I'm just thinking now of the people who did get the random smears on their face, like reading this story a month later and being like, mother of God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Just waiting to die.
But speaking of those people, they were fine, but her last prank went differently, she said. This time she had to carry a specific target and another woman. So before they were just having her pick a random stranger. This time she was given a specific target and another woman, Hong, also trying to carry out the smear. So this time they teamed her up with that other woman. In the end, Huang reached Kim before Siti did, and she did not end up touching him, though both had the poison ready to use. The women's handlers had little concern for what would happen to them afterwards. It was like, all right, thanks, bye. And Siti said Huang ended up smearing Kim's face just before she could reach him. They fled in different directions after the attack and both went straight to different washrooms to clean the sticky liquid off their hands, an act that would certainly save their lives. Much of the Kim Jong Nam story remains unresolved, and the murder trial is pretty much over, but they wrote that the decision to end the trial was never fully explained, but came after Malaysia was lobbied by Vietnam and Indonesia. So I guess Malaysia is where it happened. The other two countries where these women came from were like, clearly they were duped into doing this. And instead, Malaysia has named 4 North Korean men who are wanted over the assassination, but they've never been found. And I think Kim Jong Un's brother, like who clearly called for this hit on his brother, Kim Jong Nam, isn't he the guy who's like going to Disney all the time and spending all the money and hooking up with all the ladies and being like just a ridiculous fella?
I didn't know that. Is that right?
I think he was jealous that he's like stuck in North Korea leading the regime,
and he's like educated in London, I believe. Like that's where he went to school. But can you imagine being these 2 women who just think that they're just out for a casual goof trying to go viral in Japan, and next thing they know, they kill a fucking dictator's brother and they're on trial in Malaysia? You'd have to be like, what in the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You'd be so, like, you could go, I don't think that Malaysia takes murder lightly.
Probably
no,
not.
Not really.
They frown on it even.
Actually, Malaysia does take murder. It depends on where you're at and what you're doing. But yeah, so a pretty crazy thing that these women, I don't know, the whole story is just nuts. But it makes you think, like, that plot seems like a bad 007 assassination plot.
It almost seems like a parody of a 007 movie.
And it worked.
Yes.
Right.
Crazy. But also, too, what's kind of surprising, when they said, oh, that's your target, I would think he's well known enough that they would recognize who that was and then say, oh, wait, maybe we don't want to prank him.
Way.
No?
No shot. I mean, you would have to, I bet in America or in Malaysia, I bet you could show Kim Jong Nam's picture to 5 million people before the first person knows who he is.
I thought he was more well known than that.
I will say this part's weird, though. They have you rubbing it on people's faces in random spots. And then they're like, all right, now for this last one, we're going to fly you to Malaysia and give you a specific target. Like, that would be like,
Red flags start to pop up.
But
Interesting.
Wild.
All right, let's move on to round 2.